Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast is here. Every Friday we give it to you with Adam. Of course, the guys at 4 o'clock, we're going to be getting 1 month to Eagles training camp on Sunday. 1 month to Eagles training camp this Sunday. Think about that, Adam Caplan, as we get ready for the start of Eagles season here in 1 month, man. The countdown. This is the final football at 4 outside a month of Eagles training camp. We get to see Adam on the stream, everybody. What's happening?
That's right, man. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, we're about just over 4 weeks. And remember, they don't practice immediately. In fact, what happens is they report, then the first day of practice is super light. In fact, they have the acclimation period, the 5-day acclimation period. It's not like that. It wasn't like that when I first started covering the league. In fact, what I used to love, Mike, is the first day of practice was almost certainly in pads, and there was some hitting. Like they can't do that anymore because of the changes.
2-a-days.
Yeah, exactly. In the CBA, right. So you couldn't hit the first day like they used to. The pads were popping, as they used to say. But not only do the Eagles not hit, they're just not. They're limited to how many days they could be in pads. But look, the off season, as I've said many times, is like AA baseball. You got to be careful of what you hear and what you see and what you read. It's more for the coaches to see where the players are mentally, and then the physical part comes in training camp, and particularly for the young players in the preseason.
All right, Adam, today we're going to take a look at an interesting conversation, football at 4. We're going to detail the Eagles' situational roles. Which, we were just talking in the last hour about football, baseball, analytics, situation in baseball. Football, not much different here. Some of the situational roles. And the Eagles, it almost seems like they're going to have a lot of platoon situations here. Let's kind of break them down. Let's start with the running back spot. Are we going to see as heavy Saquon Barkley, or will somebody else, Will Shipley or somebody else, have a situational role on this team, a bigger one than last year?
Yes. Okay. So they're a running team. That will not change with Saquon Barkley being on the roster. That's just something that they did. They made a decision last year when they signed Barkley. The offense would go through him, not through Hurts anymore, and it worked. I mean, it really worked, and that'll stay. Now the question is, situationally, what are they going to do? Are they going to keep Barkley in on third downs? Because Kenny Gainwell, who was their main third down back, and by the way, their hurry-up back, which means 2-minute, 4-minute, sometimes goal line. Is that going to change at all? Like what? He's not here anymore. Like, who's that going to go to? Is it going to go all to Barkley? Our feeling here is that it'll either be Barkley or Will Shipley. A.J. Dillon, who, by the way, it was signed really to be the main backup, particularly if Barkley would get hurt. But Shipley could actually, in normal situations, actually play more. Now, going to your point, will they give Barkley in the first half a series off, half a series off? What will happen, Mike, if they're up by 17 points with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter? Will they pull Barkley out and put A.J. Dillon in? You would think they would, but we have to get there yet. They have a general idea. They always know a general idea of what they want to do, but they tweak it depending on what they see in training camp. So our feeling here on the third down back is, depends on the yardage, depends what the score is, but more often than not, they're going to split it between Barkley and Shipley. Now, I say that Shipley's got to show he can block. We're not going to know that until they get through training camp. How well does he pick up and sort? It's called sorting. This is what running back coaches call sorting. Where's the pressure coming from? They got a pre-snap sorting is what it's called. Barkley was not good at this with the Giants, we were told. He's gotten better at it. He's still not quite good enough. He's still working through it. So this is a big change, Mike, on third down as we get through the running back position. Not having Gainwell anymore, that's a big deal.
Yeah, think about Gainwell not being here. All right, 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. Who's that third wide receiver?
Yeah, it's going to be Jahan Dotson. That's a lock. Like there are not a lot of locks here, because when you go to tight end, boy, there's a lot that could be different. But it's going to be Jahan Dotson. Then the question is, who's the fourth receiver? Not that they play a lot of 10 personnel, very little. But who will be who like if let's put it this way, if A.J. Brown or Smith couldn't play, we know Dotson would start. Well, who's the next guy in the rotation? They don't know that yet. That's something, Mike, that they'll get through in training camp. They'll figure that out, whether it's going to be Johnny Wilson, Terrace Marshall, Danny Gray, who we like, Avery Williams, and Nye Smith is only an inside receiver, so that wouldn't affect anything. But the fourth receiver they'll have to figure out. Again, the fourth receiver will not figure at all unless somebody gets hurt.
All right, Adam Caplan, football at 4 from the Inside the Birds podcast. Let's go to 12 personnel, which brings in 2 wideouts, 2 tight ends. We know the 2 wideouts are, but Dallas Goedert, for a while, we weren't even sure if he was going to be here. He's now here, but now who's he partnered up with?
Yeah, so in 12 now, there are differences in 12. You could have 12 with Goedert and somebody else, which is either going to be Harrison Bryant or Grant Calcaterra, most likely. Or because what happens is you either want to have Goddard as the wide tight end or the move tight end, which is their F position. The Harrison, I'm told, could play F. He could play the Y. And then you've got Grant Calcaterra, who's an F tight end, or Kylan Gretson, who's an F tight end. Neither are really what you call inline tight ends, though they can do it if you ask them to do it, but that's not really what they do. So there's a big variance here. My money will be on Harrison Bryant to beat out Calcaterra. I know Calcaterra has the advantage because he's been here. He'll enter training camp as the 2. That doesn't mean he'll end training camp in the preseason as the 2. Bryant on a 1-year deal. Calcaterra's contract expires after the season, and Grant's on a 1-year deal. So that's a battle, Mike. That's absolutely a battle. And then the other battle will be who's going to be the main tight end if Goddard got hurt. Who's the backup? They don't know that yet. They'll figure that out by the end of training camp.
All right, Adam, let's look at the offensive line situational roles. You know, you've got that swing tackle, that backup guard, and, of course, the backup center. And all of these spots, you know, Mailata missed time last year. Johnson seems to miss a game here and there. The 2 guards, Landon Dickerson, he had some injury issues. You don't even know who's going to start at right guard. And Jergens is coming off an injury.
Yeah, the situation roles will Kendall Lamb, and barring something highly unforeseen, will be their backup right tackle and left tackle. The backup center job is either going to go to Brett Toth or Drew Kendall. They would love it to be Drew Kendall, but he's got to win it. This is probably his more natural position. Heard from a scout that had his area, East Coast scout for Boston because of Boston College. He said that Kendall, he just doesn't see him as a guard. He can play it, but he's really a center. But he's got to win the job. And then Matt Pryor. Now the question will be there is, okay, let's just assume Steen's the right guard. He's the clear favorite. Then the question is, who's the first guard off the bench? Is it Kenyon Green, who got cross-trained at right and left guard? Matt Pryor's played both in his career. What will they do? My money will be on Matt Pryor, to be honest with you, because Stout knows him. He's back for his second tour of duty. He could play right or left tackle, but it's funny, when he was drafted, no one saw him as a guard. Stout did. And honestly, that talking to some teams that had him over the years, he kind of is not a bad backup lineman. I know he's much maligned here on the first time around. I get that. But he wound up making a decent amount of money, Mike, and he's on the back 9 of his career. But this is not a bad signing of the 11 deals that were signed that were 1-year deals.
Yeah, I think he gets lost in the sauce a little bit. He's a guy who started a lot of games out there for the Indianapolis Colts. So he's been a guy who has plenty of starting, 39 games of starting experience for him in Chicago as well. Last year he started 15 games. So, yeah, I think people forget Pryor because he kind of gets lost in the sauce. All right, let's go to defense and get some of the roles that we're looking at here. We know Jalen Carter. We know Jordan Davis. We know Moro Ojomo is another guy that everybody seems to be talking about. Who aren't we talking about?
Yeah, the top backup tackle. Now those 3. Now Carter will play the most snaps, no question, on their defensive line. Remember, they don't play with a true edges with their hands down in the dirt, unless it's third down. They'll do some wide 9, not a lot. The question is, okay, we know Ojomo, Davis, and Carter are the guys who play the most. Who's that first guy? Who's the first guy off the bench? Well, it's either going to be Ty Robinson or Thomas Booker. Booker could play multiple positions. Booker could play some nose. Ty Robinson is not a nose tackle. If it's Carter or Ojomo who can't play for some reason, it's either going to be Ty Robinson or Thomas Booker. My money's going to be on Ty Robinson. I really do. He's got more upside, Mike. I think he's more talented. And that's a guy I know they were really excited about getting. And I'm going to go with Ty Robinson there.
All right, Adam Caplan, let's go to one of the other spots on the defense here that has 2 new faces. And we don't know what their situations were or what kind of roles they might have. But we're assuming that Aziz Ojulari and Josh Uche are going to have some roles. What might they be?
All right. Well, here the way it ended camp is Aziz Ojulari was the first edge. He was their sub-package rusher. He's the guy who would fill in if Nolan Smith couldn't play or Hunt. Now, we'll see. What I want to see is do they have Ojulari playing both sides or just one? But we strongly feel that Ojulari will be the first guy off the bench, and Uche will be the fourth guy. That's the way we look at it. Now, I know some people think they should sign another edge. They don't feel that way right now. I know the Eagles could always change their mind, could always do that. But right now it's Ojulari, and I love that signing. It was a bargain. It's just over $4 million, $3 million in cash, and then the plus the signing bonus, which is over $2 million, so it's $4.285 million. So total cash, it's a bargain. Uche got way less than that. He only got a quarter of that. So Uche's got to prove himself, but Ojulari might, based on the contract and based on his upside. To me, he's got that BG role right now all over him. I see that totally.
Yeah, well, I know talking to Andrew and Jeff this week, and of course you earlier, we're all kind of seems like everybody likes Hunt, right? Everybody kind of seems that Hunt's going to, I don't want to say not give you any worry, but that the questions about him are going. I mean, he's a guy who's green as grass, really, when you think about it.
Mike, this is his fourth year as an edge rusher. 2 years. At the college level at Houston Christian, okay? He had to learn how to be an edge rusher at a lower level of college football. And now he's in his second year as a professional edge rusher. Look, I said this at the end of last season. If he winds up starting, which right now he will be, just be careful of the expectations. The upside is huge. He's still learning. You nailed it. He's really green. He's got length. He's growing into his body. Really smart kid. I just be careful of the expectations. It's been an incredible story. And, Mike, before we move on to the final piece of this, let's not forget, Mike, when they drafted him, they were not going to play him. That's the real story here. He was in healthy and active week one. Their plan was to not play him unless absolutely necessary. Well, what happens is Bryce Huff played poorly, then had wrist surgery. So now he started playing. He was their fourth edge rusher. BG suffers a serious injury. He now goes from being the fifth to now becoming a rotational third guy and then starting, Mike. He wound up being a starter late, so you got to understand that.
All right, let's get the last two here, both special teams related. They signed Avery Williams, but is he definitely going to be in the situational role of kick returner and punt returner?
Yeah, right now he's definitely going to be one of them. They'll figure that out in training camp. It's either going to be Avery Williams, Shipler, Keelan Robinson return kicks at Texas, and punt returners Avery Williams or Anias Smith. Anias actually did well with it in college. He just got hurt last season, so those roles are still open. So we're just in closing here. There are a lot of roles. The reason why I wanted to put this on your radar, Mike, there are a lot of roles which Jeff and I really have not talked a lot about. This stuff is real. There are a lot of roles that are going to be decided in training camp, but they're situational roles.
Yes, definitely. We know there's a lot of things up for grab. When you lose five key players on defense, you got special team stuff. That all starts in about 1 month from now. Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can get on all podcasting platforms. Just search Inside the Birds. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
All right, Adam Caplan, everybody, here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN for Friday's edition of Football at 4.